Hello.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Not bad, thank you.
You do sound a little stuffy.
I am a little stuffy. I had the world's worst head cold, and it was just sinus in my head, and it moved into my ears after I took a long flight. But I'm
Uh-huh.
so much better than I was, and I'm grateful that it wasn't, anything worse than it was. I'm healing fine. My body is really doing better than the little sinus medication that I took. It doesn't seem to be doing anything, but I'm
Uh-huh.
progressing. I feel much better, and I'll be able to rise again.
I've been using that seems to keep my sinuses clear because
Hmm.
it's full of pollen and stuff.
Right.
And sometimes it's been really bad. And sometimes I can feel it in the back of my eyes and my ears, my throat. And I just use it, and it clears it right up.
Okay.
So
Hold
how's
on.
it
I'm getting
going?
a quick call real quick. Hold on 1 second. All right.
Okay.
Hold on. Hello?
Travis,
Yes.
where are you?
Oh, what do you mean? Where am I? Who is this?
It's not Travis from Miami, is it?
Yes.
You're not. Are you supposed to be at right now or no?
What's
The trucking company?
the
I might have
trucking?
the wrong Travis. I'm sorry. I don't know how. I thought it was. Maybe I have the wrong number. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't even know.
Hello?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're still there. Somebody had the wrong number. Anyway, I want to talk to you about, your experience in listening to my live stream, and I would like to document it and get your response. Um, and I'll explain to you what it is I'm doing and why I'm doing it. If you want to hear
Uh-huh.
that now, I can tell you. But for the
Yeah,
most
tell me
part,
now.
okay, well, um, a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe even 5, I started to go into this self-awareness, self-improvement um, situation where I felt like I needed to check myself, I don't know what to call it. I have words, but I wasn't expecting to tell this to you in
Uh-huh.
detail right now. But, I kind of came to myself. I realized that I was feeling a certain way. I didn't like how I was feeling. And I needed to do something with my life. And I could not afford to sit on the couch with a therapist,
Uh-huh.
for hours. And, but I needed to do something. So I needed some help. Mental, psychological, emotional, spiritual, all of the above.
Uh-huh.
And I just wasn't sure of what to do.
Uh-huh.
But I had a friend who's in the psychology field, and she started talking to me about traumas and what they meant. And that was enough for me to go online and to search, what they meant. And the things that I discovered forced me to I guess take a look at myself. So I did a self-evaluation, and I understood that my childhood traumas created who I am today. They caused me to have certain defenses and responses in certain situations, and it led me to realizing that I always wanted to be heard and wanted to be understood. And I think that's a big problem that I've always had. Anytime I ever had an encounter with someone, it would always boil down to someone not understanding me. And I found myself trying to prove myself to someone. Hey, I am a good person. I don't mean you no harm. I'm sorry about what you thought I meant. And I found myself, just being a good person, but not being viewed that way. So through
Okay.
everything that I went through, all of my self-therapy caused me to just realize that most of the problems we have to do with people not understanding themselves and not taking the time to investigate what's actually going on, as opposed to what they have believed about themselves based on being forced in situations that they don't even realize. Childhood traumas just happen. And, when you're a child, you are around certain things, and it happens to everybody. And it doesn't have to be a trauma in a negative way. It could just be something that caused you to be, that caused you to take a certain path, to have a certain perspective. Your parents could, be either religious or too hellish, if for lack of a better word. And it'll cause you to shape and form and mold a character and a personality that will create, who you are. And sometimes people are not settled with who they are. And psychological evaluations are important. We go to the doctor for so many things. We take our cars in. We have the AC people come, the dishwasher people, you name it. But not many people really get into mental therapy. And long story short, I got into that for myself, and I discovered some things about myself that forced me to just be more alert and more aware. So now that I'm so into myself, I'm starting to see it in other people. And with my background in communications, radio in particular, I kind of now use it to listen and hear, what people are actually saying versus what they're feeling and what they mean, and, their reasons for having certain perceptions. So I'm doing this in order to bring awareness to how we listen, how we hear, how we pay attention. And as you can see, I kind of got into it kind of heavy with the caller you heard, and I'll probably get into it with you and everybody else, because my way of listening and examining and filtering things is a little unique. I believe it's a gift, and I really do feel like I'm answering the call to just open people up to what we're actually saying versus what we're really meaning.
May I add something to that? I think it's pretty timely, because right now we're seeing, especially in our communities, an awareness of mental health issues. And even though years ago there may be people that had mental health issues, but you didn't know about it, it was kept kind of hush-hush, or that was the one that stayed home all the time, you very seldom saw them, and that kind of thing was kind of hidden. Now people are more exposed, and we're finding that in our communities we're finding more and more people that's actually dealing with mental health issues. So one of the problems in dealing with that is we don't know how to communicate it, we don't know how to handle it, we don't go to therapists. It's kind of like, we just go, that's the way that person is, and we just allow them to live day by day with issues. And some of those issues really could be resolved if they had proper treatment.
And allow me to say, all of those issues may not be able to be resolved, but they can definitely be addressed. And you can't always solve or fix everything, but when you realize that, okay, there's a problem, you at least know how to respond to it, instead of just saying, well, what's wrong with this person, or they're crazy, or they're this, that, and then sentencing people for things that's not them. We look at people's actions, and then we say, okay, that's who they are. And I am one for saying what people do and how they do it is not necessarily who they are. It's a representation of them. But we're all fearfully and wonderfully made. We're all the apple of our Creator's eye. And yeah, we are exposed to certain things that cause us to go into certain directions, but we're all good. So yeah, without further delay, so you listened to the entire interview that I shared with you?
Yes.
Did you listen to it more than once?
No, just once.
Did you find yourself backing anything up or rewinding it at all?
No, I didn't. But what I did do is, I'm sorry. That's a yes or no question.
It sure is. I'm so glad you. Yeah, and that's the reason I'm asking you these questions real quick. So when we get into it, I'll find out where we're going. Because right now I have no idea where we're going. I'm just trying to figure out,
See,
what
okay.
your perception is. So, did you rewind it back at all at any point in time and listen back to anything?
No,
So you just listened to it. Did you watch and listen to the entire thing, or just listen to it, or kind of on and off?
I listened and watched.
Okay. So, let me ask you a question. Was it more, which was it more of? More entertaining or educational?
I would say educational.
And why do you think it was more educational?
Anytime there's information given or information discussed, I think it's benefiting us educationally. The entertainment part, I guess, when we have differences and we're discussing them, that can be entertaining. But I found it more educational. Now, it was just informative to me.
Okay. All right. Did it keep your attention at all at any point in time while watching or listening? Did you say, "What's wrong with this boy?" Or "This is crazy," or "Why am I spending my time with this?" Did you stay engaged or not? And then you can be honest. I really need your true feedback.
I did stay engaged, but what I saw, I didn't see a change so much in you because I've always seen that in you. I've always seen where you were very directive. You were very, when you believe in something, you're very aggressive in that. So I didn't see a whole lot of, I would say, new you. I saw a new improved you. I would say an improved you, but not just a new you, because I've seen that in you earlier, some years back. And that's called part of your makeup. You said it's a gifting. It is a gifting because it's a part of your makeup. And I saw that years ago.
What exactly did you see years ago in one sentence?
Years ago, I saw how you were very, I would say, aggressive in your beliefs. When you believed something, you stood on it. You believed in communicating and pulling, or I'll just use the word extracting from the next person their ideas or what they had to offer. You were able to pull that out.
And what you heard in that interview is consistent with that today, and how is it improved?
Well, I would say I saw more structure. In the past, I saw a more aggressiveness for it in a negative way. Like you and I, we would get into some heavy debates, and I saw more aggressiveness there. And I don't know if it was like an anger, but I saw that then. Today, more control.
So allow me to expound on that. What you may have seen is maybe someone who was immature and confused and didn't know what they were, exposed to. So I think, just like I said, I had some issues. Those issues were consistent with where I was a few years ago when I realized, okay, I need to make a change. I realize I'm smart, I'm intelligent, I'm handsome, I'm good looking. I wear the best cologne, and all that good stuff. I had all those good things going for me. But it's like, why can't I get it together? Why am I so aggravated? Why do I find myself in the same place with different people all the time? And I had to figure that out. And I eventually did. So, yeah, I did find myself, wanting to be better, because I realized, okay, I may have something to offer, but if I can't, control my emotions, I'm going to be, more explosive than just powerful, because there's a difference in, dynamite is good, but not in the wrong place.
Right.
So yeah, it's good that you saw that, and thanks for being honest with me. And that's probably why I'm even led at this point, because I know that you and we go way back. And I've always been able to know that I would get the truth from you. And thank you for seeing that in me and not judging me too harshly. Because I know you thought I was crazy.
Well, I knew you were. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Now, what I saw today was more of a controlled. You control the environment. It was. I like that. It was more of a control in your personality, as well as making sure everything else was under control.
Okay, and I didn't want. So let me ask you this other question. Um, Even with that, I guess for lack of a better word, you're saying aggressiveness. I think I know what you mean. I don't think you mean it in a negative way.
No,
Did
no,
you find me in any way rude or disrespectful to my guests? Yes or no?
no.
Did you see what I was pointing out in my guest in terms of how I thought she was definitely exposed to new and information that was evident and provable, and how she seemed to be? And I don't want to talk about her out of her presence, and I'm not going to talk about her. I'm going to talk about her personality. It seemed to be, for lack of a better word, stubborn.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, because it's one thing I've learned in life. Okay, you can believe something all your life. You can be told that things like when you're a child, your parents tell you things, and you grow up believing that because that's what your parents said. But when you find out that your parents may have been wrong about that thing, and it's proven to you, then it's time to stop and say, hey, my parents may not have been exposed to the same knowledge that I'm exposed to. I'm finding that they just didn't know any better. And you have to change your way of thinking. Some people don't want to change, and that is stubbornness.
And for the record, she is a good person and I like her. And I think, what happens is we get so far into, the embarrassment or, not wanting to be called wrong or not wanting to seem wishy-washy. And I wasn't trying to prove that. I'm doing everything I'm doing now for a reason that I won't even expose at this point in time. I'm trying to make a point in general for the big picture of why I believe I'm called to do what it is I'm doing. And I'm seeing this character trait reflective in many people and many situations. And this is just the introduction of where I'm eventually going to go. And I started with just doing these, recording them and now going live. And again, I'm not trying to be famous or popular, or I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. And I say to my guests all the time, thank you for your vulnerability, and thank you for your honesty, because we can learn something, if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable. And I hope that I gain the trust of people, that I won't, either embarrass people or make people look bad, because I don't think she looked bad. I think what may have been controlling her was exposed so much, and it was attached to her, that maybe she might have started feeling bad at a certain time. So for either of us to say what we recognize was stubbornness is not necessarily talking about her or saying anything negative about her. It's just, it's an energy, it's a spirit, it's a character trait, it's a personality. And sometimes, we can take on personalities or spirits or energies, or we can take them off. And when you know better, you're supposed to do better. And whether she was moved or touched or inspired in any way by that conversation, I do believe anybody that comes in contact with it will, see themselves in what I was doing, as well as what was happening with her. And I think I think I'm really on to something. I have a lot of people that I am inspired by that are YouTubers, and that are people who are on the internet doing all sorts of kind of things, from preaching to showing you how to make stuff, to to relationships, and I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff and people out there. And I think what I'm doing has not necessarily a class of its own, but it is, my contribution to, I guess, the internet, and trying to be inspirational to people. But I'm not going to keep you long. I really do appreciate your feedback, And I would like to know if you have anything, in closing to say in regards to what you got and what you think about what I'm doing, because I'm going to do this for a while. I've got some other things that are going on that's personal. I'll probably talk to you about it off the record at another time. But it has motivated me to stand up inside of myself and not just lay down and take, I guess the devil's mess, so to speak, if I can be religious for about 10 seconds. I'm not going to stand up and let somebody run over me or hold my head down because somebody may not see me the way I want them to see me. So with that being said, closing thoughts, views, comments, and I will just thank you in advance for your support, because this isn't the first, last, or, I'm going to be doing this for a while.
Okay. Well, I would say this. I think that what you're going to face more so than anything is the spirit of pride. Pride is what tells us we don't want to be made little or belittled, or or a wall comes up when we have to defend ourselves. It's probably because of pride, because pride says, well, you're not like that, but all along you are. And we have to deal with those type of things. And if we get biblical, we see where pride comes before a fall. And if we don't deal with pride, allow pride to die in our lives or detach itself from our lives, we'll find ourselves headed for a fall, because humility is the way. We have to humble ourselves before we can grow or go anywhere. Humility has to set in. So I think you're on the right track. I think you're going to contribute a lot to communities, especially of color. I think that it would benefit us to begin to see ourselves even as we see others. When we see, and when I say see others, when I'm meaning, I guess, when we see what happens, as people respond certain ways, we can begin to identify ourselves in that. And I think people need to see that.
Okay. I'm going to let it go on that. There was something you said that I was going to respond to, and I don't think I forgot it. I think because you were finishing your point, it just kind of slipped my mind, and I was going to say something like I was giving you the closing comments, but I was going to say the last word. And I'm just going to say thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate it, and I will go ahead and let you go.
Okay. All right. Have a great one.
Okay. Oh, by the way, you'll do it again with me. Will you listen to another one? Well, maybe not another one, because I've got a couple on this subject, and I'll move on. When I move to a different subject, which I will be in the next week or so, will you analyze another one for me, please?
Sure. I'll be more than happy to.
Okay. All right. We'll talk soon. Okay. Love you.
All right. Love you too now.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.